Everything is awesome, or is it? This is the LEGO 2 movie review. I'm James Zamera, and this is Switch Watch. Let's jump in and find out. In a post-apocalyptic world straight out of Mad Max, Emmett and Lucy are faced with strange alien invaders. They attack Apocalypseburg and kidnap their friends. What follows is a journey based on the movie of the same name. You visit many of the film's locations, and its inhabitants from Batman to the lovable Unikitty are here. Unlike some of the recent titles, the story takes a bit of a back seat due to a less linear gameplay style. More on that in a moment. The result is the story feeling a little bit disjointed. If you've seen the movie, you'll fill in the blanks, but if you haven't, it won't flesh out the tale long enough to do it justice. What is here is fun though, and whilst the magical world of LEGO is certainly not just for children, it's the younger audience who are most going to enjoy this whimsical tale. Unlike many of the movie-based games such as Ninjago or the first LEGO movie title, TT Games have attempted a less linear, more open-world experience that is closer to LEGO Worlds. Straight out of the gates, this decision will displease those that are looking for an on-rails, story-driven experience that they are familiar with. On the other hand, if you enjoyed LEGO Worlds or are a fan of sandbox games like Minecraft, this is likely going to appeal to you a bit more than other titles. It's interesting that they changed the formula and the results are mixed. The game starts you off in Apocalypseburg and does a decent job of giving you a rundown of the game's mechanics and systems. Unlike its predecessor, you do not set out to find golden bricks in lengthy quests. Instead, there are short story progressing quests and an open world to explore, filled with items to discover and loot crates filled with collectibles. You can take this game at your own pace, easily getting sucked into other tasks outside of the main story. Quite quickly on, you unlock additional build features such as being able to construct vehicles, buildings and useful gizmos such as a sprinkler system to put out fires. It's a neat idea, but sadly there isn't any creation involved. Once you find an item to create, you simply click to make it. Unlike in previous games, there isn't really a destruction mechanic whereby you're breaking down bricks to build something new. Many of the quests feel more like side quests than that of a big deep story. There are some exceptions such as the bosses, which are huge and really just absolutely awesome, requiring some creative thinking to take down, and the puzzles are simple yet enjoyable. Combat is a tame affair that involves button bashing and some small combos, but it's not as engaging as say in Ninjago, and at times the collisions do look a bit wrong. This is one of the easier LEGO games in recent times, and I got the impression that combat and quests are targeted at a younger audience, and they will no doubt benefit from not getting stuck or finding things too tricky. Where things do perk up is when you get to the sandbox world, which you can build on to your heart's content, and this brings into focus collectibles, which really are the lifeblood holding everything together in this game. Finding new items to build in your sandbox world is a joy. Looking for loot and new costumes could consume you for an absolute age. It's the kind of game that you can play whilst just relaxing and taking things quite easily. There is something to be said for just roaming around finding hidden masterpieces in order to unlock a new world, or just to scratch that completionist itch. The game sits squarely in the middle of two types of LEGO game. It's not quite an epic linear story driven quest, though it has some amount of that, and it's not quite as open-ended as LEGO Worlds, but what it does have is a bit of both, making it an interesting game to play, albeit the master of no one thing.
So now, forced to face off with our newly arrived adversary, we had no choice but to stand our ground.
The voice acting is hit and miss. The lines are read well enough, but due to the open world approach, you can tackle parts of the story at your own pace, resulting in large breaks between its narration. Emmett and Lucy have the bulk of the game's voice acting, and they do a decent job. The music is pleasant, but not the finest we've seen in a LEGO game, and sound effects are passable. The game runs at 30 frames per second when docked, so it's surprising to see poor draw distances, screen tear, and odd reflections and glitches. You might think this is due to the Switch's lower power, but honestly the Nintendo Switch can handle this game, and the issues persist on other platforms, so I suspect it's due to a tight release schedule. It feels as though the game could have done with a couple more months in the oven to polish it up and iron out kinks. On the move, it's a similar tale, though the slowdown is slightly more pronounced. It's a shame, as the open worlds generally look nice, particularly Apocalypseburg, which is surprisingly large. Each world has its own setting and style which shines through, though there are a few open areas that are crying out to be filled with some extra detail. Long load times are a nightmare between worlds. It takes forever, which is a real shame. At $40 or £30, it's a hefty price tag for a game with flaws. That said, the campaign is healthy at 10 hours, and completionists out there will not find a shortage of things to look for, with tons of costumes, buildings, and more to gather. Overall, the game is ambitious but falls short of reaching its true aim. The story is quite light, and the world building is fun but not as deep as LEGO Worlds. It still has that charming factor and a good sense of humour, and it makes for an interesting in-between game, but its bugs and flaws dampen the experience. Overall, I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. There's lots of roaming to be done, and children will no doubt enjoy it, and I suspect that's the best way to play this game, as an adult with your child playing together, taking it easy without too much stress. So I thought I'd share with you just how long that load screen actually is. Yeah, still going. Oh boy, it's not even halfway yet. I better put some music in to keep everyone entertained. I don't know about you, but the children I know would be throwing the Switch across the room by now. And there you have it, it's nearly there. As you can see, it takes an absolute age. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care, I'll see you on the next one.